Robert Wise's 1951 sci-fi classic, The Day the Earth Stood Still, Klaatu, played by Michael Rennie, was sent to Earth to tell us to shape up or face the consequences. Humankind was to be judged for its worthiness to survive. The idea of being judged and tested has its roots in the Bible. Adam and Eve were tested, and they failed. Abraham was asked to sacrifice his son Isaac as a test of his devotion to God, and he passed. But judgment does not always come from God. We have appointed ourselves judge and jury many times. Just as we sit in judgment of others, if we are to venture out into space, we are sure to encounter beings who will judge our morals and our worthiness. Will we pass the test? And just what might that test be? Star Trek presents one such possibility in Arena. There were other science fiction projects around. Some of them were kind of lightweight. Some were attempting to do meaningful work. I had been involved in both. I had been involved in all the extremes of science fiction from very early on. For some reason or other, I was useful in science fiction. As an alien, often as an alien.
I am half Vulcanian. Vulcanians do not speculate. I speak from pure logic.
So it wasn't my first time in science fiction of any kind, but this was the first time in my memory that we were dealing with very current issues metaphorically.
What makes you think you can interfere?
It is you who are interfering. We are simply putting a stop to it.
We were able to take very current issues that we were dealing with as a civilization at the time and translate them into a 23rd century story so that you could get a new perspective on it. It was a way of looking at ourselves through a different prism. And I think that was very, very important for our society and very refreshing for a lot of people. A lot of people got it. They got it. They got the metaphor. They got the poetry of it. And they were affected by it.
We're a most promising species, Mr. Spock, as predators go. Did you know that?
I've frequently had my doubts.
I don't. Not anymore. And maybe in 1,000 years or so, we'll be able to prove it.
Certain writers brought certain strengths. One element that most viewers are not aware of in a television series, the constant in the series, is the actor and the character. Writers come and go, directors come and go, even producers come and go. But then along came a man named Jean Coon, who stepped in to produce the series. And if you came to the lot at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, several hours after we and the crew had gone, you'd find Jean still there pounding away at a clackety-clack typewriter. And the next day, you'd have some interesting things to play, including a whole new race to deal with. The Klingons, for example, came from Jean Coon. I've always wished that we could have done better with the Gorn character. It's obvious that it's a very primitive rubber suit with a man inside. It was created by the very masterful Wah Chang, who created many of the Star Trek props, including all of our phasers, communicators, and tricorders. Wah also created the very frightening salt vampire monster that was seen in The Man Trap. Unfortunately, in this case, Wah was limited by both time and money. Star Trek's busy and frugal production schedule didn't allow for a more detailed or subtle creature, and so Wah had to do the best he could under the circumstances. Still, the episode works, and the Gorn, if not fully convincing, still presents a formidable enemy for Captain Kirk.
When we started out doing Star Trek, we wanted a successful television series on the air.
We are the Metrons. You are one of two crafts which have come into our space on a mission of violence. This is not permissible.
It was not a bunch of guys in a room saying, philosophically, what we should do is go and do something for the betterment of mankind. We weren't. We were out to make a buck, okay? I mean, that's very important that audiences, that fans understand that. I mean, so much has been written about the wonderment that and the philosophy. That came later. That came as we hired these marvelous science fiction writers. And we had some spectacular writers. People who came in and sat down at their typewriters and wrote science fiction.
Wait for me. I shall be merciful and quick.
Like you were at Cestus 3?
You were intruding. You established an outpost in our space.
You butchered helpless human
We
beings.
destroyed invaders, as I shall destroy you.
At that time, we had Lost in Space, we had Buck Rogers, we had Flash Gordon, we had really adventure, almost animation kind of stereotypical one-dimension space adventure, if you will. Along comes Star Trek. Along comes Harlan Ellison. Along comes Jean Coon, Theodore Sturgeon. Spectacular science fiction writers who prior to that really did not have an opportunity to write television. And suddenly a door opens, and inside that door is the opportunity to express their science fiction mind.
Can that be true? Was Cestus 3 an intrusion on their space? It may well be possible, Doctor. We know very little about that section of the galaxy. Then we could be on the wrong. Perhaps. The Gorns simply might have been trying to protect themselves. Yes.
So most of the philosophies that we hear about, the way we treat fellow man, the way we treat people in the galaxy, the mixed racial feelings with aboard the Enterprise and throughout the galaxy, most of that came from Jean Coon and the writers.
It seems ironic that in an episode about the violence of mankind, the solution is the discovery of gunpowder and the construction of a deadly weapon. And yet, it's through the use of this weapon that Kirk finds compassion for his enemy. Compassion is one of the traits that separates man from beast. It is, in a sense, what makes us human. The ability to feel for another, to realize that we are not as different as we may seem. In spite of the human race's propensity towards violence, it is Kirk's compassion for the Gorn that saves everyone involved.